Mark, how are you? Good to see you again. It's been a hell of a month since the Shanghai Auto Show. I just can't believe how quickly it's gone, but so much has happened since then. How have you been? Did you recover from your 3.5 hour marathon? A fantastic video.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it was tiring, very tiring on the feet. Doing it 2 or 3 days in a row, actually, I think. But yeah, no, I was in New Zealand for 2.5 weeks after that, so I had a good recovery. New Zealand, lovely place, and I know you know it well. So yeah, no, I'm fully recovered now. Now on a business trip here in BYD down in Shenzhen, so straight back into the workload again.
That's fantastic. I know we might come back to that a little bit later if there's anything you can share with us about your current trip with BYD. Let's go back to the auto show. What was the biggest surprise for you, I guess?
It was an interesting one in that a lot of the surprise was taken out of it. A lot of cars were launched beforehand, and really it seemed like a much more cautious show than previously. I would say the Denza Z concept, bit of a 911 rival, that was a bit of a surprise. No one saw that coming. I mean, BYD themselves, they had so many new cars on their stand already, but the Denza Z was probably the biggest one. They had the Geely Galaxy Starship or Cruiser, which was this kind of a off-road SUV thing that can float. That seems to be a bit of a trend, by the way. People like to make floating cars now here in China, as well as flying cars. But the Cruiser was quite good. The 9X we knew about before the show, but it still looked pretty imposing in person. The Zeekr 9X, and yeah, I mean a lot of new launches. They didn't show you the interiors, so we saw the MG SUV concept, CyberX. That was it. So they didn't show the interior of that. Obviously, Xiaomi didn't turn up with the YU7, probably taking a tactical moment in the shadows for a while. Yeah, the Cherry QQ Curio, that was quite good. So Cherry taking their QQ, one of their famous cars they've had for a long time. So they're kind of taking that into a separate brand. So they made a kind of it looked a bit like a Volkswagen Golf size hatchback, probably actually bigger than the Golf. But that was quite funky, a bit different. A lot of cars teased in the build-up. I think some brands were kind of afraid of being usurped at the show. I think they've realised maybe we don't show everything at the show because someone else will come with something nicer or funkier, and we don't look quite as good then. But yeah, I did like the iCar V23 pickup though. That was very cool.
So let's come back to that. I know you mentioned a couple of times that the media day wasn't so busy, but I mean, still a lot of ground to cover, but it wasn't as busy as previous years. Do you think that was a strategic thing on their part?
Yeah, I feel like they cut the numbers down because, I mean, Beijing last year was just insane. There were so many people. You couldn't get near the cars really well. You couldn't get good shots of them. There's a lot of influencers just kind of taking TikTok shots in front of the cars and not really, getting inside the cars and trying to understand them so they could report on them back home. So I do think Shanghai were a bit more tactical in their way of promoting it. But then again, Shanghai it's a more spaced out show than Beijing as well. Beijing next time will be in a bigger exhibition hall. So they're going to have probably more space. Maybe it just felt more spacious because it's not quite as dense in Shanghai, but it definitely felt like there were less people and a lot less locals actually. It felt like there were a lot more international media this time than you saw before. I think the ratio was quite a lot higher in favor of the international audience.
Yeah, that's interesting because from our perspective, there was a deluge of media, and maybe I just hadn't had my ears open in previous years, but it just seemed like it had massive coverage everywhere from all angles, mainstream media, everyone, influencers, YouTube guys that we follow, and it seemed to have a ton of press. And look, maybe that was tied up with where the US was positioned just at the moment as well, and the China repositioning themselves as the preeminent show. But the funny thing that I saw and everyone commented on was the live streamers. Were they live streaming details to sell some of these cars?
Yeah, the brand literally hire kind of salespeople to stand there and live stream about the cars. And I don't think they can sell any of them because sometimes the live streaming concepts, which aren't on sale and may never ever go on sale, there's not enough details to give that to a person to buy. But yeah, they have them all the time. Last year I went to the Exceed stand, and I was really early before the show even started. So it wasn't even technically open, and there was a concept car from Exceed, and there's about 20 people all around with their tripods and their cameras, and they're all live streaming, like chattering really loudly about this concept car behind, which they still, by the way, haven't released, even though they've been talking about it a lot for the last year. But yeah, so it's a common thing. You see them there, and yeah, they are a bit annoying, honestly. I think maybe put them there on the sales day, get them out of the way. The day should be for the media to get to know about these cars and get the good photographs and stuff. And then, yeah, put them on the public days, or even just have a sales day for
Yeah,
salespeople to be there.
yeah. They almost need their own day now to go around, and yeah, because it's anyway. We'll get into a discussion about what defines media these days, but clearly it's changed.
Good question.
But, yeah. I was fascinated in that, and it really you'll probably have to move to a live stream yourself one day. That must be something that you could look forward to one day. If you live streamed your show, that would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I did consider going live stream this year potentially. I mean, the problem is like half of my audience aren't even awake at that time,
Yeah,
so they wouldn't be able to interact while I'm walking through the show until I got to the end.
very good
But
point.
yeah, I mean, I could technically live stream for 8 hours, and maybe some of them would come on board at the end. Could be interesting.
You got excited about the number of four-wheel drives now. Maybe the MPV, the people movers, not quite as popular as they thought, and everything was four-wheel drives, all sorts, hybrids, electric, everything was all sorts of quirky four-wheel drives. What were the standouts there for you?
Yeah, I mean, it did seem like SUVs came back into popularity. There's been a push for the MPVs, but there were doesn't have any new MPVs at the show this year.
Yeah.
So they've definitely got a place, but they're not going to be taking over the SUVs anytime soon. But the other interesting thing was the push to real off-roaders. So they're going for genuine off-road ability, not just soft roaders that can drive up pavements and stuff,
Yeah.
but things that can do genuine off-road stuff. So the Geely concept, the 9X can probably do some off-road stuff. Even Hongqi. If Hongqi are bringing an SUV concept to the show, I mean, that everybody else has already got there, because Hongqi tend to roll up at the end when the trend's already been shown.
Yeah, that's probably the most traditional. Is probably the best word we can use. Brand new. So yeah, if they've got one, I mean that is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Jetor, they're kind of pushing more to off-road stuff. They brought the Zongheng kind of sub-brand out with 3 massive luxury SUVs. One that's production, the G700, and then the G900, which they said can float and can swim in the sea for 20 minutes or whatever. So yeah, I mean, there's a big push for the off-roaders. It seems the sales are growing about 30% year on year for real off-roaders. So yeah, more and more of the brands are going that direction. It seems people really starting to enjoy the outdoors in China.
Yeah, is that tied up with a cultural change as well? Like you're not probably traditionally thinking about Chinese and skiing or Chinese and hiking or mountaineering, but yeah, is that tied up with more of an outside lifestyle, which goes way past the MPV?
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, since COVID, Chinese have started to explore more of China. I think they always they didn't always stay in their own area, but they didn't stay too far from home. Whereas now they've got fast trains that can take them across the country, and now they're starting to make road trips across the country. So they will do really long journeys out to the beautiful landscapes in Shanghai and Yunnan and places like that. So having off-roaders it accentuates that outgoing lifestyle, lifestyle sports and things like that. So yeah, I think it's backing up a trend.
One of the things that surprised me, though, perhaps, was the European fight back, and maybe we didn't predict how strong Volkswagen's showing would be. And with 3 new models with 3 different partners, did that surprise you as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, it was good for them to see 3 of their cars coming back. So with the Aura, the Evo, and I can't remember what the last one was called.
Yeah.
There were two SUVs,
Yeah.
and the saloon, and they look pretty neat. I mean, Volkswagens tend to look pretty neat rather than spectacular, but one's an extended range, which is the first time they've done an extended range car. Obviously, one was built on Xpeng's platform, so the first fruits of that labor. And then the saloon. I mean, saloons continue to be popular in China. The downside is they're still concepts, so I'm hoping they'll start to speed up the rollout of real cars at some point. But yeah, I mean, you saw Toyota fighting back, Honda fighting back, even Nissan with their car, even despite their troubles. Even they came out with a pickup truck, which is interesting because pickups, again, not really traditionally that strong in the Chinese market, growing. And yeah, I mean, the Honda GT was pretty cool. I liked that. There's 2 different versions, one from Dongfeng, one from GAC. And then Toyota had a few, actually. They had the BZ5. They had, obviously, the BZ4 has been changed a little bit and improved as well. The BZ3X MPV, which seems to be doing fairly well on sales, actually. So yeah, they're not giving up completely. Even Lexus went electric.
Exactly. At least they're talking. And I mean, we've talked about this before, the long-standing relationships between these Japanese brands and the Chinese manufacturers. And that's basically given them their leg. And even in Volkswagen as well, Toyota, in Mazda, They've done really well in the past. Finally, at least now they're doing some EV concepts, and finally, at least now they're getting on the bandwagon. So hopefully, yeah, some of these do come to fruition.
Absolutely, yeah. The Mazda one is a good one, actually. I think the Mazda
Yeah.
EZ60 was one of my favorite cars at the show. It looked pretty cool, and it is a much better adaptation of the Chang'an platform than the EZ6 was, which looked like a rebadged version of the D-Pal.
Yeah.
But yeah, the EZ60 looked pretty good, and of course they're going to do an extended range version of that as well, which
Yeah.
is interesting because again, Mazda haven't done one of those before. But that seems to be the way they got to fight back. Big screens, 26-inch screen inside, some interesting aero. So it's good to see them coming back.
There was a bit of news that during the week. I don't know if you saw. I think they've done 20,000 pre-orders on that Mazda. That's a goer. That one. I think it's gone beyond concept to a goer. I think.
The shift is like, a lot of the older generation still like the foreign brands. They still trust the foreign brands. And the younger generation like the local brands. But there is still some kind of warm sentiment for the foreign brands. So as much as we kind of, mock Volkswagen and Toyota that they're getting battered by BYD and stuff, there is still sentiment there for them. And if they just make the right car with the right tech and the right infotainment stuff, they can absolutely do well. And I said that the Mazda looks really good. I think they'll do well with that. Toyota have done well with the BZ3X. They just got to offer the right product, and they're still in the fight, really.
Yeah, and those brands could bring those cars here now to Australia, and they would do well straight away. They've got the brand kudos. People are ready for those, and people are buying Toyotas in small numbers here, which belie any sense given the product here. And there's other models coming out in the States I saw this week as well that people are ready, and they'd buy them with the brand kudos that they've got. Anyway, that's their decision. They've got the bucks. They can make the decisions for us. That's for sure. And
Absolutely.
we talked a little bit before about the models that weren't at the show, and we've since seen the Xpeng P7 Plus concept. There's Xiaomi, of course, YU7, YU7 come out since. So look, there's still plenty more in the pipeline. That maybe it was a strategic decision, as you say, not to overcrowd the market.
They have, yeah. I mean, we were expecting the G7. That didn't come. They told us a few days beforehand that wouldn't be there. And since, as you said, they then promoted the P7. So the G7 I know is coming in June. That's going to be, they'll be launching that in June. But the P7 is fantastic. I mean, it looks like it has no place on the road. It looks very different to a lot of cars that we've seen today.
Yeah.
A lot of futuristic vibes about it. So it's cool that they're doing that, because P7 is a massive car in the history of Xpeng. It was the one that really gave them legs to take off. So having a modern interpretation of that really kind of demonstrates Xpeng's push into AI and new technology, they're going to do pretty well with that. I think if it's priced well, it should sell very well. And obviously the U7, everyone was excited to see that, and it looks amazing. They've got a great color choice, great color scheme for them. The interior looks better with the Hypervision screen across the back of the dashboard. It'll be an absolutely enormous seller, no doubt about that, when it comes out in July.
And I saw on your website, and if anyone's interested in ongoing news and up-to-date sales figures, go to Mark's website at InsideChinaAuto.com, because I think Xpeng have done 30,000 a month this year for the last 6 months. It's incredible.
Last 6 months, yeah. No, they've turned things around, really turned things around. They were looking in danger, I would say, even up until September last year. Then the Mona came out, and Mona was more successful than I think we expected it to be. P7 Plus built on that by kind of simplifying the product, but offering all the things that people want at a really good price, and that took off. And then, they've updated G6, G9. They've had a good reception as well, and I'm pretty sure G7 will be as successful, if not more successful, than the P7 Plus. So they've really turned things around.
Yeah, I've done a bit of work here. I mean, it's only a year since they came to Australia, and they've had some delivery issues with the G6. People are really happy with it, but they've got to get some stock here as quickly as possible, because they've been building showrooms and getting the word out, and they've got to get some product here as quick. Maybe they haven't got anything left. Maybe they've been so busy in their home market they just can't produce them. And they've made some comments at senior management level, which were in the press here, to suggest that they might be taking a bit more control of management and distribution here as well. It was a vague hint that they were throwing more resources at it, but maybe there was a bit more influence from head office. Only in the last 24 hours, you might have seen that EVDirect have been exited from the BYD distribution here, and Eagers, of the other major partner, have just done a deal to basically take over the full distribution here, along with in full partnership with BYD here. So they're getting serious, and the original importers have gone from the joint venture. So that was big news just in the last 24 hours here. So Sign of things to come.
Yeah,
Xpeng have got to get some product here.
absolutely. Yeah, I think that seems to be the way that they're going. As you said, BYD have done it.
Yeah.
Xpeng are talking about it. I think GAC are coming in entirely owned by themselves with their Ion brands and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the brands just they want control over the narrative.
Yeah.
I think maybe they're realizing that they have to manage the customer process and make sure they do things right.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not getting the service that they want. I don't know what the reasons are, but yeah, they want to serve customers the way that they do in China, I think.
And so what have you seen from Tesla? Of course, we've had the Model Y launch in the last month as well. It's on gangbusters here. It'll probably bring us back up to close to 10% penetration in new EVs here. How's that gone down in China?
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see them. There's definitely some around there. I mean, they're not as prominent as the old one just yet. It's debatable whether their sales are actually as good as before.
Yeah.
Obviously, April is one of their delivery months where they send cars from Shanghai to other markets, so they kind of tend to dip a little bit in deliveries
Yeah.
in every 3 months in China. But year on year, they are down on what they were before. The Model 3 seems to have stalled. That no one seems to be buying that
Yeah.
almost anywhere at the
I
moment,
know.
which is a bit weird.
It's really gone out of favor, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think people are steadily realizing that they've got choice here and good choice that they can believe in. We of course we're going to have some kind of settling of the market, and some brands may disappear, but the ones that survive, the ones that are most likely to survive, they're going to be better. The U7 is going to be cheaper. It's hinted at than the Model Y, and if that comes out, it'll probably batter it. To be honest, I mean they're doing what 28,000 sales of a SU7 every month, and SUVs outsell saloons 3-1. So there could be potentially 70,000 sales of a U7 every month, which would be incredible. They're going to need more factories. They're just going to keep making more factories.
No, it is interesting, and it's injected life back to the market here. Maybe the timing was pretty good. You wouldn't have bought a Tesla 3 months ago here. It just wasn't the right global environment. And Xiaomi, have you seen the new YU7 in the flesh yet?
I haven't seen it in the flesh, no. There are some prototype cars around in Beijing where I haven't been for a few months, but I have seen it advertised. I mean, it was literally advertised on screens in Zhengzhou, where we were the other day, before they'd launched the car.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they showed pictures of it, of course, but yeah, they're obviously trying to build the excitement around it. They were trying to be a bit quiet after the fatal incident with some girls in their car, but it seems like they've kind of settled, let the mood kind of relax a little bit, and it's really important for them that I mean, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. The more people are going to come at you. So they've been targeted pretty aggressively.
Yeah.
And it was their first car. They've been massively successful in terms of sales. But yeah, they have to be really careful with their reputation, to not get a reputation for being a dangerous car. I mean, you see more and more of them crashing every week for whatever reason. That we don't know what the reasons are, but there are just hundreds of incidents of this online.
But that's going to be a runaway success. I love the styling. What sort of pricing is it going to be in the US?
There was a story hinting about the pricing that I haven't read yet this morning, but I think it would be US dollars. What's that, about 1.3 to the RMB? I don't know. So it may be $30,000 to $40,000, I would guess, at a starting point. So something like that. I could be wrong. Yeah,
we're not talking 100, right? So
no. I mean, the Ultra may get towards that, but even the Ultra is less than $100,000 for an actual supercar baiting, a saloon. Yeah. But yeah, they'll probably do an Ultra version of the U7 at some point as well.
So it's really good value, right?
It's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, pretty much all cars in China are really good value at the moment. And BYD kicked off price cuts again this week, which is just going to start another bloodbath in terms of sales. Geely have lowered their prices. I mean, you can get a BYD Seagull in China now for less than $12,000 in Australia, in Australian money. So it's just ridiculous, the amount of car you can get for that kind of price. And then, I mean, you can get the Cielo 6 GT, which is bigger than a Volkswagen Golf, almost the same size as a Golf Estate. Yeah. That's about $20,000 now you get for a starting point, which is just Australian dollars. That's just outrageous.
Well, they say they won't bring them here because it's the Seagull or whatever they call it, the base model BYD, because of it won't get 5-star on ANCAP. But yeah, I mean, I mean, does that really make a big difference? Maybe they're getting a little bit tight in the way they view that now. It's got to be a must-have, not a nice to have, a 5-star. But we need some small cars, and that, yeah, that's perfect. They just introduced it in the UK, didn't they? And it's doing really well over there already. Yeah.
Yeah, the Europeans had their launch this week,
Yeah.
so well, I think the reviews come out today, maybe, or tomorrow. So yeah, we'll find out what they think about it. But I mean, my understanding is the Suzuki Swift got 0 stars on ANCAP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's not like you need to have 5 stars or even 3. Just got get some on the board. But I mean, we can't hold all cars to the same standard. You're not going to get
Wow.
the full safety out of a car that isn't a massive SUV. So I think if you're pottering around in downtown, you're probably going to be fine.
We just
Yeah, we'll see whether they go for it for Australia. I think it's still up in the air whether they're going to make a decision on that or not.
I hope so. Even as a loss leader, just to sell 5,000 a year, it makes a hell of a lot of sense for a lot of more senior people. Let's say if you drive into a retirement village car park here, you only see Honda Jazzes, Suzuki Swifts,
Yeah.
Picantos. So I mean, that's where it needs to be, right? But anyway, again, bigger brains are solving these problems than we are. That's for sure. So
yeah.
And BYD, can you share anything? You've just been with them for a couple of days. Can you share anything at this stage?
At the moment, no. So there's an embargo on any news that's coming out until I think June 10th or June 11th. So look out for it on your favorite news platform or whatever when that comes out. But yeah, there's definitely things coming. I can say that. So there will be some announcements in the next few days. And yeah, we're here with the Aussie and New Zealand tour, so there's going to be some slightly different things for each one. A lot of things still haven't been decided, in total honesty, but yeah, there's something new coming, but I can't say what.
900,000 people apparently, and you can see just how big it is around here, how much of an imprint they've made on this city, and just how big their footprint is all over the country, actually. So it's really, really exciting. We've got some great cars.
I know, I've seen a couple of hints on Facebook, but nothing firm yet. So everyone's holding to the embargo at this stage. So excellent, Mark. Hey, thanks for that. Look forward to catching up with you next time. There's never a dull moment. I can't believe it's only a month since we spoke last time in the Shanghai Auto Show. It's like a year in China, in the rest of the world, a month in China Autoland. So thanks again. Hope to catch up with you next time.
Yeah, no worries. Catch you with you next time.
Thanks, Mark.